So for our deep dive today, we are going into what might be one of the most tedious sections of the entire Bible, Nehemiah chapter 3.
Oh, absolutely. It can be painful to read.
It really can. If you've ever tried, it's just this long list of like impossible to pronounce names, Hesna, Merimoth, and all these confusing segments of a wall.
Just a roll call. Yeah.
But we're looking at it through the lens of a really powerful sermon preached by Pastor Sung No for his congregation at Praise Presbyterian Church. And he argues that this sort of technical manual actually holds these core principles for any communal work.
It's a blueprint. That's what it is. I mean, you have to remember the context here. When Nehemiah showed up, that wall had been a pile of rubble for 140 years.
140. That's a long time for a city to be exposed.
It is. And the failure wasn't just military or economic. The ruin itself was a disgrace, a deep shame. It let all the surrounding nations mock them and say, your God must be weak. He can't even protect his own city.
So this rebuild wasn't just about security.
Not at all. The main purpose was restoring God's glory, his honor.
The stakes couldn't be higher then. Which leads right into that first principle from the sermon, the principle of priority. It says, High priest Eliashib and the other priests started by building the sheep gate.
The sheep gate, yeah. First thing they do.
But wait a minute. If the city is undefended, how can they focus on theology? Isn't that, a bit risky?
It seems totally counterintuitive. But it's so intentional. The sheep gate is where the sacrificial animals came in. It was a giant physical symbol that they were putting the restoration of worship, the relationship with God, as the absolute first step.
So it's not faith versus works, it's faith then works.
Exactly. The practical security, the economy, all of that had to flow from that restored spiritual connection. It couldn't come before it. The highest priority wasn't bricks and mortar, it was meaning.
Okay, so if the first lesson's where you start, the next big insight has to be how you keep going. I mean, this is a massive project. And as we look through the chapter, one phrase just pops out again and again.
Next to him.
Yeah, next to him. 31 times in just 22 verses.
Yeah.
That's the principle of position.
And that phrase is everything. It tells you exactly why the project worked. There was no individualism, no room for heroes trying to make a name for themselves.
Right.
Everyone knew their specific segment. Okay, from here to here, that's my responsibility. And they worked right up against the next person. They were focused on adjacency, not visibility.
And that just flies in the face of that that dangerous owner mentality you see in so many organizations.
Yeah.
That belief that I built this, so it belongs to me.
Yes, exactly. The text is all about humble stewardship. Look at Nehemiah himself. He was the project manager, right? When it's done, he doesn't build a monument to himself. He just goes back to Persia.
He just leaves.
The work was voluntary. It flowed from gratitude, not ambition. The second you start trying to claim ownership, you've completely lost the plot.
And that humility must have been what made the next principle possible, this idea of unity and diversity. This wasn't just a job for, professional builders.
Not even close. The record shows 75 leaders from 15 completely different professions all working together. You have priests and gatekeepers right next to, get this, goldsmiths and perfume makers.
Who were basically the commercial magnates, the wealthiest people in the city.
The absolute elite. And participation was total. It says Shallum rebuilt a section with his daughters. You have people coming in from other towns like Jericho and Tekoa to help. And what's really fascinating is that those wealthy elites, the goldsmiths and perfume makers, they often took on the most damaged, most expensive sections of the wall.
But there must have been some social friction, right? I mean, it mentions Malchijah specifically taking the smelly, undesirable dung gate section. How do you get a rich person and a common laborer to value their work equally?
Well, the common purpose was bigger than the social status. The roles were all different. Some sections were long and easy, others were short and awful. But the value of the sacrifice was seen as the same because they were all answering at the same call.
Of course, human effort is never perfect. The sermon makes a point to highlight the cautionary tale in verse 5.
Yes, the nobles of Tekoa.
They refused to cooperate. They wouldn't work with the supervisors, probably because they felt, the manual labor was beneath them.
And for that, they lost the honor of completing the wall. It just passed them by. And this moment of human failure is where the sermon makes a critical pivot to what it calls the eternal hope.
Okay.
Because it acknowledges that human systems, human efforts, they will always have a weak link. They will always eventually fail. Our ultimate hope isn't in the wall they built or even in the communities we build today.
So then what's the ultimate point of all this service if the wall is just going to crumble anyway?
The point is the gospel center. The sermon says Jesus Christ is the true, the everlasting gate of the sheep. Service isn't about recruiting manpower for a project. It's a response to the grace we've already received through him.
I see. So it's not about earning anything.
Not at all. And that response should push us beyond just our own internal community duties. It should make us want to, climb over the fence and serve the world outside, to be a light to the city beyond the gates.
So the goal then is to find your unique spot on the wall, whether you're at the vital sheep gate or the humble dung gate, and just commit to that work as a response to grace.
That's it. The highest spiritual ambition isn't trying to prove yourself to God or to anyone else. It's just being able to look at the person next to you, see the work that needs to be done, and simply say, I'll take the next section.